The Industrial Revolution in Europe, starting in 1760, changed how things were made and sold by using machines and technology on a big scale. Europe was already good at inventing things and trading globally even before that. They also introduced the idea of corporations funding risky projects. These advancements, along with global trade and using machines, made the world much richer in the past 200 years. In the last 40 years, the world has made more money than in all the years before that combined. But Europe hasn't been growing economically for over 10 years. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, especially China, has been doing really well. Europe's economic performance has fallen behind that of the United States, despite its abundant natural resources, skilled populations, well-functioning democratic governments, and modern infrastructure. This lag has persisted for some time, extending beyond the past decade. But what caused Europe to fall behind the United States? Are economists expecting similar slowdowns in other regions? Economists observe a predictable growth pattern in countries. Initially, underdeveloped economies rely on basic agriculture and informal markets. To become developing economies, they either develop industrial machinery themselves, as seen in the Industrial Revolution, or receive it through foreign investments, as is common today. Building industrial machinery from scratch is a time-consuming process, explaining why Europe's transition from agriculture to industry took nearly 200 years. However, some countries like South Korea achieved the same transition in just 2 decades. As an industrializing economy, rapid output growth occurs by leveraging tools to maximize existing resources. Sharing proprietary designs with factories worldwide carries the risk of intellectual property theft, making it challenging to regain control over those secrets once they're exposed. Furthermore, while goods produced outside advanced economies may be slightly cheaper, they may lack overall competitiveness due to lower demand. People often prefer products like jet engines made in advanced economies, such as the USA, over those made in other countries. This situation leads developing economies to start with basic items and gradually progress to more advanced goods. However, they face a critical challenge when transitioning from producing low-value basic items to semi-advanced goods with higher income levels. In such cases, they can be outcompeted by other developing economies emerging behind them. To avoid getting stuck in the middle-income trap, developing economies have 2 options: continuously suppress wages, which is politically unpopular, or develop advanced industries like wealthier economies. The latter option is challenging, especially considering the head start enjoyed by advanced economies. Nevertheless, overcoming these challenges is possible for developing economies. Sharing cutting-edge designs with factories worldwide poses risks of intellectual property theft, making it challenging to regain control over those design secrets once they are exposed. Additionally, while goods produced outside advanced economies may be slightly cheaper, they may face lower demand and overall competitiveness. People generally prefer products like jet engines made in the USA over those manufactured in other countries such as China, especially when it comes to long-haul flights across the Pacific Ocean. As a result, developing economies typically begin by producing basic items and gradually progress to slightly more advanced goods. However, they encounter a challenge when transitioning from manufacturing low-value basic items to semi-advanced goods that generate higher income levels. In such cases, they may be outcompeted by other developing economies that are catching up. Israel stands out as a rare example of a developing economy that quickly progressed to becoming an advanced economy within a short span of 2 decades. However, many other developing economies are currently facing obstacles that hinder their own transition. Europe is primarily composed of already advanced economies, most of which attained their advanced status long ago, particularly in Western Europe. While Europe does have its own international companies operating in advanced industries, their overall number is not as significant. In terms of the Global 2000 companies, Europe is on par with Japan, despite having a much larger population. In contrast, the USA boasts nearly twice as many major global companies as the entire European continent combined. Many European companies primarily concentrate on serving their domestic markets. Although these companies can thrive by catering to the European market, benefiting from the region's wealth and advanced economies, their success is rooted in the fact that Europe established modern industries earlier than other regions. As a result, Europe currently lacks the presence of innovative global companies capable of competing with both the USA and emerging players from Asia. In a way, Europe is relying on its past achievements, while the USA is currently flourishing. It's worth mentioning that there are exceptions to this pattern when considering European companies with global operations. Germany in particular is home to numerous leading companies in various high-tech industries. Europe is not doing as well as it should when it comes to having global companies. These companies are important for a country's progress, and there is a strong connection between the number of these companies and the wealth of a country. While there are small countries in Europe like Luxembourg that are rich even without big global companies, they achieve this by providing services to larger economies that have these companies. Singapore, Ireland, Hong Kong, Luxembourg, and Switzerland, to some extent, have become rich by offering financial services to bigger advanced economies. To become a rich country, you need advanced industries that don't rely too much on how workers get paid and can do business all around the world. Europe had a head start as the first continent to have proper industries, but now it is falling behind the USA and Asia, especially in the tech industry, which is great for doing business globally. The problems and difficulties faced by Europe have become worse because there aren't enough global companies. To understand why Europe doesn't have many of these companies, we need to think about how diverse Europe is. It has many countries with different languages, governments, and ways of making money. The differences within Europe are sometimes bigger than the differences between Europe and the USA. Usually, European countries try to be fairer and focus on making sure people have good working conditions and social protections, even if it means higher taxes for richer people. This is different from the USA, where the focus is more on getting ahead at any cost. This might be one reason why Europe is falling behind. But it's also important to note that many European countries, especially the ones known for their good social policies, are actually good at starting new businesses. Germany has discovered that when people have a safety net in case their business fails, they're more willing to take the risk of starting a business or joining a new startup. Europeans value work-life balance and generally work fewer hours than Americans. In Germany and France, employees work around 1,400 and 1,500 hours per year, respectively, while Americans work almost 1,800 hours per year. Working hours have decreased significantly in the USA, but even more so in major European countries like Germany, where hours have decreased by almost 50%. This slower growth in Europe can be attributed to prioritizing better working conditions over higher output. While it does pose challenges, many people would prefer having more free time. It's not an economic failure, but rather a decision with trade-offs that grab attention in the headlines. Another factor is worker productivity, measuring the value produced per hours of work. To increase productivity, workers can receive better education or use better tools. Education levels are comparable between the USA and Europe, with Europe slightly ahead overall. However, the USA is more appealing to skilled migrants. The USA's advantage lies in its access to capital. American businesses invest more in their workers because the USA is an attractive destination for investors. It has advantages like being the world's reserve currency, a strong legal system, an innovative culture, and being an English-speaking hub. Investors prefer the USA as it simplifies investment. This access to capital allows multinational corporations to thrive. Even if Europe has more new companies with great ideas, American companies with capital support can rapidly expand globally and maintain dominance. The future of this trend is uncertain, as economists cannot predict what will happen. However, the USA's lead in capital and investment creates a solid foundation that may continue to attract investors in the future. In the future, big tech companies, especially those from the USA, may not have as much power as before. These companies have had a lot of control worldwide for a long time, mainly because they originated from the USA, a big country with lots of money to invest and English as the main language. However, laws are now catching up with these tech companies, and at the same time, there's a shift towards focusing on industries within countries or nearby regions instead of global trade. Europe didn't benefit as much from the globalized economy, but it also won't be as affected by its decline. This is because Europe already has the European Union, which encourages close trade between neighboring countries. Even if Europe doesn't catch up in terms of total production, it's important to understand that economic success is not just about how much we make. Europe is ahead of the USA in different economic measures, just as the USA is ahead in other areas. With that said, thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. And if you found this content helpful, give the video a like. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.